Right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to day one of the 5-day Write With Me that we're doing this week. This is intended to be a very, very relaxed session. I highly encourage interaction, brainstorming ideas, especially today as we go over brainstorming story ideas, plot points, things like that. Feel free to unmute yourselves, talk. The only thing I do ask is mute yourself if you have some background noise, TV on in the background, somebody comes in, talks to you, you decide to call somebody. Yeah, please mute yourself then. If you want to temporarily unmute, you can hold down the space bar while you talk. That will temporarily unmute you, and as soon as you let go of the space bar, it will mute you again. If you can't or don't want to talk, that's fine. You can also ask questions in chat. I have several co-hosts with me here today, so they can bring anything to my attention that they think needs to be discussed on the recording. And more than likely, you will see many of them answer questions in chat. So I did link this document with y'all. This is just very simple. Some ideas for what I mean when I'm always saying start story from scratch, things you can do. The point of the story from scratch. We're not saying Sudowrite can't write your half-written story. They can't finish it for you. I'm saying if you are brand new to Sudowrite, I'm saying this from experience, bringing a story in half-written and trying to learn the program while continuing to write that story is very frustrating. But if you start a story from scratch, it could be a simple, short fairy tale retelling. Doesn't need to be a full-length novel. You don't even need to go through all the chapters. The point is to use the features with that story from scratch, so you're not worried about messing up your work in progress. It's just something I highly, highly encourage y'all to do. That being said, something I'm going to go over just briefly. This is not going to be the way we work in this session, but I do want to point it out. Knowing what I know now with Sudowrite, bringing in my half-finished stuff, this is what I do. I would have a new document for all of my current chapters, scenes written out, paste them in here. I would fill out my genre, style, my character, so the AI knows all of that. And my preference is to then use like the right features and the laser tools as needed. I'm also the person that likes to see what the AI comes up with. So instead of just copying those scenes in, I won't even bother with that. I will just go straight to brain dump, tell it my story premise, all those major plot points. Let the AI give me whole new chapters. But working with these features up here, copying in what you already have written, to me, that's the easiest way to get started with your half-written stuff, especially until you get more comfortable with Sudowrite. The other perk of learning with that story from scratch is as you go through things, you're going to see, oh, I can use this for my story, or I see now how to bring this chapter in and make it better. You'll learn those kind of things, and then it'll be no problem at all for you to bring in your story and work with it any kind of way you want. All right, so there's just some ideas. I have played around with a lot of these in classes, y'all. Again, just putting this in brain dump, letting the AI come up with some ideas and adjusting from there. So feel free to grab any of these. I created some story starters for y'all with ChatGPT, getting some ideas. So feel free to use any of these if you want to follow along with our brainstorming and using the tools with certain prompts. This is just so y'all didn't have to come up with anything on the spot. And the rest we will probably get into later. And I did link my channel and my books for those interested in that. So what I normally do, sorry, yeah, my allergies are kicking my butt today. Normally I use ChatGPT. I love the back and forth that I can do here in chat. So I might tell it, hey, I want to write a dark romance. Give me some story ideas. It'll give me story ideas. I will tell it, okay, I like this, don't like this. It's all about getting ideas from the AI, and then that usually triggers a different idea for me. That is always my goal. So this is an example. I started, I think, about 6 months ago with this story. I'm still not ready to write it yet. I like to have a better sense of the characters before I write a story. I'm not there yet. But this is an example of a conversation. So it is very long. I'm just going to scroll up a little bit. Don't need to read anything, but just to give y'all an idea, this is all back and forth with chat. Me asking for something, it giving me something. And then refining things. So my point in working with ChatGPT is, I guess I'm stuck somewhere between a pantser and a plotter. Miss Lynn's a pantser. I thought I was. She told me no, I'm more of a plotter. And then I know some plotters. I'm like, there's no way I'm doing all that. So if anybody wants to be in that lonely group in the middle with me, please join me. So I just like to have all those basic plot points. I need to know what major events are going to happen in the story. I need to have that good image of the characters in my head, how they're going to act, things like that. That is it. When it comes down to the scene details, exactly how the scenes are going to play out, I don't know that until I start writing. But again, my purpose of chat, just going back and forth, kind of cement that story in my head. Now, I'm well aware many people do not have ChatGPT. Whether it's not available where you are, can't do another subscription, just don't want to do another subscription, just don't like ChatGPT. For that reason, we are going to work mostly with Quick Chat, but you may see me bounce into ChatGPT for some things. Something that has gotten brought up before too. Keep in mind, I know we always talk about, oh, we have so many subscriptions as authors. Those are expenses for you. If you mean to be successful, it doesn't mean you have to be successful right now. But if you wake up, you get to work as on your writing, and your intention is to publish books and make money and treat this as a business, there are very few things, nothing I can even really think of off the top of my head, that you cannot deduct as an expense. The difference between treating this like a business and a hobby is that expense. So for instance, we see a lot of people saying, hey, I'm not wanting to publish, I'm just doing this as a hobby. Let's say they do publish a book, they make $100. They spent $300 on the cover maybe. Well, because they're treating it like a hobby and they're saying, no, this is just a hobby to me, they can only deduct that $100. For hobby, you can only deduct up to your level of income. Let me throw out the disclaimer. Tax laws vary by country and state. Please contact your local tax professional. But generally speaking, hobbyists can only deduct expenses up to the income they earned. Versus if I'm treating this like a business, I earned $500, but I had $1,500 in expenses. I now have $1,000 loss. So that is the difference between treating it like a business and a hobby. So I just want to throw that out there. Your ChatGPT subscription, your monthly Sudowrite subscription, if you pay for Claude. There are so many expenses, Vellum, any writing programs that you buy. If you buy a new computer to do your writing on, a new laptop to travel with you to do your writing on, those are all expenses. So please keep that in mind if you're debating if something is worth investing in.
Not to mention AI art generation.
Yeah. All right, now my little tax speech is over. Again, if you have any questions, please contact your local tax professional. So let's get started here. It has been brought up before. I tend to lean towards fantasy in classes. For the record, I do that because I mainly write dark romance, and I would offend a lot of people if I did all my stuff in class. Fantasy is also very easy to tailor towards all the tools. I can easily find something to use in the world building card, something for Brainstorm. So it's very versatile in me showing you how to use another tool. That's why I lean towards it. However, for this series, especially for today, I wanted to kind of bounce around between a few genres to show you how I would go back and forth with the AI on deciding on the story. So we'll mess around with these, and if anybody has another genre they want to throw out there, we'll do that as well. All right, any questions before we get started? Looking at chat. Is chat good, y'all?
Here,
Ma'am?
that is clear.
Thank you so much. All right, so again, please be interactive with this. This is a very relaxed class. You're just going to see me going back and forth, brainstorming ideas. I would love if y'all threw into chat, hey, try this instead, or spoke up, hey, what if we did this? I am all for that. Today is nothing but brainstorming ideas. Tomorrow I will pick an idea and we will continue the story. So today is all about having fun. Yeah, I've seen this one before, especially if you watch the character and stuff. But I'll leave that there for us to play with if we want. But when I say start a story from scratch, again, I could go into chat, say, hey, I want to write a story, unicorns versus dragon. Give me some ideas. Again, go back and forth. I can also do something like this. I'm going to tell, I want unicorns versus dragons. I want adventure fantasy. Let's see. So I want unicorns versus dragons. I could leave it just at that. Or I can tell it some additional things I want. You know what? I want some ogres and trolls. Let's, yeah, I definitely started spelling something else there. Ogres and trolls. Lots of ancient magic. And let's do wastelands. Can y'all see my screen pretty well? Or do y'all need me to increase
Might
it?
be a bit bigger, would be nice.
Okay.
You can also adjust your own. If you
Yes.
look up at the top where it says view options, you can change the size of the screen that you're seeing.
Oh, wow, that's just making my Zoom bigger. Hang on, I gotta close out the chat.
I didn't mean you, I mean the viewers.
Oh yeah, no, I was pressing the shortcuts, but it was like nothing was working. And then the next day I look and my Zoom chat is massive. So
Ah,
there we go. That good?
Beautiful.
Happy Ryan is happy. Good size. All right. So again, I can just leave it like this. It's going to give the AI lots of room to play. So this is a way for me to also narrow stuff down. I could put unique elements. I can put if I want a certain tone. Before anybody asks, the brackets are for my sanity. I like separating story from what I consider instructions. So tone, let's make it dark. I'm just going to leave it at dark. And I think I'm actually going to make this dark fantasy. Shits and giggles, we're just going to throw that in there too. Doesn't really matter. Synopsis does look at genre now. It used to not, so it was very important to put the genre in there. Any other ideas? What would y'all want to see in a unicorns versus dragons? What would be like the one thing you think needs to be in there?
Gotta have some kind of protagonist.
But what if I don't know the protagonist yet?
Maybe that's part of your brain dump.
Yeah. So if I have an idea, like I know I want, maybe I want the unicorns to be the bad person. You know, I could tell it. Antagonist, villains, bad guys are the unicorns. I could do that.
In the
Are
chat,
we making
people,
this a
battle scene, rainbow and fire, gnomes. The antagonist name Pierce for the unicorn, and unreadable narrator.
Antagonist, unicorn named Pierce. I like that. All right, so we got unique elements. Let go. Battle scenes. No, we're gonna do epic battle scenes just because.
Are we making this a romance? Because I'm feeling some enemies to lovers.
A unicorn and a dragon?
Bring it on.
Oh. We're gonna do a romance though next. Let's look at what else. There was something else I saw that I wanted. Okay, rainbows and fire. I like that. I'm actually wondering if this would be a good theme or trope. To me, for some reason, that's standing out as I
Hey.
think that would bring something in there.
No, that's very rude.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be rude.
I got it.
Sorry, I thought I was on mute.
That's
My bird was yelling at me.
It's okay. I meant it when I said this is a very relaxed and fun session. Okay, and gnomes. Ogres, gnomes, and trolls. All right. So now we got our basic story premise, unicorns versus dragons. Told it some other things that I wanted here. Rude unicorns. Oh my gosh, I love that. Unicorns are rude and dragons are very posh. How about that? There we go. All right, looks good. I think everybody could be happy with this. So not much, right? Normally, if it's a story that I have a very solid foundation feel for, I know what's going to happen, I will max out my brain dump, but it's always like just the major plot points, just to give you an idea of the variation. So again, I never go into scene detail in my brain dump. It's always story starts this way, this happens, etc., until I get to the end. Well, let's generate synopsis here. Line between myth and reality blurred. Aurelia. That's a pretty common, especially for like shifter type stuff. I should know because I wrote a shifter named Aurelia. And the AI gave me that name.
I have a question from Ryan. He asked if you should put very rude or just rude for the unicorn. Would it make a difference?
We might want to adjust because right here it's the herd prides itself on purity and grace. So I might change that. And synopsis, y'all, synopsis is this, if you're, especially if you're a pantser, yes, this is going to use credits if you pants this way. But this is your first chance to make some good changes. You can see what the AI has in mind for this story. You can decide, okay, I love all of it, like half of it, change whatever you need, go from there. Okay, dragons lorded over their sky. Reckless young Drake ventures too close to the unicorn's grounds, and that's what causes. Okay. We got ogres. Oh, the ogres are actually eyes. I'm liking this. I love what it did with the ogres and gnomes. What do y'all think?
That's a nice twist, I think.
In the shadows lurk the trolls. Rainbows gave way to billowing clouds of smoke and ash. Not bad. Not bad at all. I could see myself having fun with this story and continuing it. And always the ancient prophecy artifact or ancient prophecies and fantasies forever. This is actually why one of the reasons I've stopped using general genres. So now whenever I'm doing my projects, of course, y'all know I don't use the word romance anyways. That triggers all the together they will get through this. But fantasy, I've stopped using fantasy as well because that triggers the glinting eyes of determination, the tapestries, artifacts, ancient prophecies. So now if I'm doing my YA fantasy stuff, I just tell it young adult, that's it. Because keep in mind, the elements in your story are also letting it know it's fantasy without actually saying fantasy. And if Miss Lynn, anybody else, Manon, Tabby, anybody, if y'all have thoughts on genre wording like that, please feel free to chime in. Okay,
I
so
use epic dark fantasy. And I seem to get some really good reads on that.
okay. Yeah, dark pair is great. I love dark romanticism. That is the one time I will use it. I love those two pairings. Okay, so they're uniting against the trolls. I don't know about that. I don't know if I want them to unite, but why not? Let's see what it can do. So let's start playing with this a bit. I'm going to copy this. Let me double check my stuff. See, I always have to go into this, and I will copy this for anybody who doesn't have it. This is our quick tool information. So if you go to use quick edit, this is telling you what quick edit looks at. So quick edit does look at my synopsis. However, I want to use quick chat. Quick chat does not look at my synopsis. So some things there for you to look at. So I'm going to copy this and put it into a document so I can play with it a little bit. And then we'll move on to another genre for those who don't want fantasy. Tom,
If it's dark fantasy, should it have a happy ending?
Stacy, would you like to chime in on that?
So in order to be romance, it has to have at some point a happily ever after.
But it's dark fantasy.
Then it's not romance.
Well,
It's
that's
dark
what
fantasy.
Yeah, so if I'm not doing the
The-
romance, I don't need to worry about that HEA.
Exactly.
I
But yeah, then market it as a dark fantasy with romantic elements.
Again. Now I will say there are readers for both. Like even with romance, there's people that those weirdos love them, but oh my gosh, you're weird. Y'all love those bittersweet endings or the ones that break your heart. I can't handle that. So there are readers that look for stuff, but yeah, like Stacey said, you want to stick to the genre convention. I don't read enough dark fantasy. I'm typically more just regular fantasy and romantasy. So mine do have happy endings. So I would definitely read the genre. If it's something you do want to write in, always read in your genre to see what is the norm for this. What is the thing that sells and makes this book perfect for this genre?
Well, I just wanted to say I've done a little work with AI, and I will give them something like a very dark thing happening, and the AI just skips right over that and gives me a happy ending. So that's what I was asking
Okay.
you.
So in that instance, when I know I want something with a tragic ending, I will actually put tragic ending or tragedy in my genre and tragic ending in my style. That helps immensely. Have you tried that?
Well, that's not exactly what I said because I have a happy ending, but it skipped over the dark part that I put in there.
Right. Now remember, your genre and style should be changed up as you write, as you go. So for instance, if I'm doing my dark mafia romance, I might start off before I do my outline, have all the elements I want for that story. But in one chapter, I might have my genre listed as thriller because I want those thriller type elements in there. I might have a lot of action, suspense, and violence. Then I might change it, even though I don't use the word romance, I might change it for the next chapter to be more romantic and everything like that. So for the one where it is a dark scene, a dark chapter, you can put that in there. And there is some other wording.
I was only working on the premise. That's why I didn't have it. I didn't get as far as having chapters.
I'm going to link this document, but under the miscellaneous phrases page, you can try some of these wordings as well. And we're going to play with style on day 3. We'll play with this a lot. All right. Somebody asked if I fill out genre and style before synopsis. So synopsis used to not pull from genre. I would just always put that in Brained Up and generate from there. Now it's kind of hit or miss. Do I remember to put it in genre? Do I still put it in Brained Up? Whatever. Style, I typically wait until I have everything figured out, at least my outline, to start figuring out my style. But I've copied this in here, so let's see. I wanted to do something. What was it? Okay, so it came up about rude, because you know what? I don't like this. I don't like that my unicorns don't sound very rude. So I can do two things. First of all, I can just obviously go back here. Unicorns are very rude. And I'm trying to think of a word like slackers.
Lazy?
That's kind of like, I'm getting like surfer dude vibes. Like I want him to be the trophy surfer dude, you know, that's just not very bright. Or
The
very rude.
stoners.
I like, you know what, I'm putting it. Unicorns are very rude stoners. There we go. I'm gonna put that. So I can just go back in, generate a second synopsis. Let's see if just that little change right there does anything. Unicorns, haughty and reckless breed. Perpetually in a hazy stupor from imbibing kaleidoscopic vapors. Ooh, I like the name though for that one. There we go. I don't like the plot of this much, but I do like the opening a little bit better. But I'm going to jump back up here. So I copied the original synopsis. I'm just going to highlight it and open up Quick Chat. So for those who don't know, you can highlight, which reminds me, for whatever reason, nothing popped up, did it? Yeah, there it did. Okay, so you can highlight and press Quick Edit, or you can press Control K on the PC, Command K on the Mac, and then toggle between Quick Edit and Quick Chat. I'm going to tell it revise this synopsis to show make that little change. What else? I really think I'm liking everything else. Born into a herd of rude stoners now who pride themselves on their chill vibes. Rainbows flicker with every shake of her messy mane. Now keep in mind, this does not save anywhere currently. We have brought that to their attention. Sorry, I'm having trouble scrolling back up. We have brought that to their attention. We want it saved somewhere. So for right now, you would want to copy it. If I know I'm going to be here working with Quick Chat or Quick Edit for a bit, I will open up a Google Doc or another Notion page to easily copy things, because once I drop in a new document, this is going to go away and maybe I want to continue this conversation. I'll just paste that there. So now I have two starting points for this story. Again, go through, see what I like, see what I want to combine. I can also do, just like I would do in ChatGPT, except I have my stuff here. I could say, give me 3 unique ideas for Let's see what it'll come up with. Okay, battle was won and unity achieved. Rogue group of rogue gnomes. Honestly don't like any of these. So this is an instance where I would tell it, no, I don't like these, give me more, and I might be able to guide it. Maybe I want the dragons to prevail. Maybe I want them to imprison all the unicorns. And I would guide it towards something like that. How can this happen? Obviously, dragons are better anyways, but so that's just a little fantasy. Again, starting from something small, just keep reiterating, revising until you like everything. Let's try this one. And I could actually just pop up quick chat. And then I'm going to take this same prompt and show you 2 other places where you can brainstorm some ideas. So a group of friends trapped in a haunted house. Not bad. Let's do brainstorm, same thing. See what it'll give us. Mysterious Carnival. I actually like that. Now this would be neat if instead, when they're using the camera, actually I think the movie was made with this. Instead when their picture is taken, it captures the moment that they're going to die. Perhaps in the background or something. Pretty sure that was a movie though. Young woman inherits an old mansion. Oh, that's a nice little twist. Okay. I wasn't expecting that. So she realizes she's a reincarnation. I like that. Keep in mind, all this thumbs up, thumbs down, you see it replacing with a new card that's costing me credits, but it's not that expensive. So each one is costing this. So a couple hundred. It's not bad. Couple of good ones from Brainstorm. You can also do First Draft. First Draft uses GPT-4 Turbo, I think, but I've been doubting myself lately on if it's Turbo or not. Miss Lynn, do you remember? Because I know you've had specifically asked that before.
I think they're saying it's turbo, unless
Okay.
one team member changed it and didn't tell everybody else.
They might like playing jokes on each other like that. So I love First Draft for all kinds of things, y'all. It's good for nonfiction. It is good. We'll actually show you how to do it for like character backstories, character detailed sheets, all kinds of things. The downside to First Draft is that sometimes it's just picky, and if you don't nail your wording here, it's going to start writing a story no matter if you told it to give you an outline. So sometimes you have to be patient with it or just say, okay, we're not playing together today. So I'm going to ask First Draft for the same thing I asked Brainstorm and Quick Chat. And I think that's what it did. It's writing. So I am going to force refresh. And I'm only going to try it one more time because I don't want to take up too much time here. And let me change my wording. David, I use brackets anytime I'm giving it instructions. And it is not going to listen again. So this is what I mean when sometimes it doesn't want to cooperate, but I do think they need to be told it's happening more and more, not wanting to give us list of things. So I'm going to force refresh again. First draft is generally another option. And then of course we can keep doing the same thing. It's already in there, but just because. That's good, Jade, yeah. A lot of times it just comes down to that wording. I just hate how often it seems to change. Like we'll nail down the wording and then a few months later it'll change again. But since it's using OpenAI, we're kind of at their mercy. So this gave us, we got Willow Creek. Never heard that one before. Ancient tomb in an ancient tomb in the attic. Oh, sorry. My brain wasn't fully functioning. I was thinking tomb like TOMB. I was wondering why one of those would be in the attic. Okay, so good old waking the sleeping entity thing. And then we have our tragic ending right here. And if I was going to write this, I would delete this right here because it would start going into the AI cliches and the optimism that I don't like, the cheesiness. But let's take this one. Go back into first draft, show you some things we can do with it to kind of flesh out. So let's say I've decided, okay, this is the story I want to pursue. I'm going to go to first draft, paste that in. I'm going to tell it to create detailed character sheet for Abigail. Backstory for the evil entity. So create a detailed character sheet. Here, I'll pop just in case anybody wants to play with this. I actually have a more thorough one somewhere in one of the classes that I'll link to. Let's see if it's going to listen. No. Yeah, we definitely need to ask them to tweak first draft again. But that's okay. We got quick chat. I'm just gonna copy that. Go to quick chat. I am actually going to toggle on for it to use for. And then tell it the same thing. See what it'll do. Yep, and we can actually look at what it costs. First draft typically isn't too expensive. I want to say it's around 500. But Sudowrite's also very good, y'all. So in that instance where it just was not listening to my prompt, I'm not worried about my credits, but if I was, I could say, hey, yeah, I could email hi@sudowrite.com and say, hey, look, can you check out this project? I was giving it specific instructions. It wasn't cooperating at all and gave me something entirely unasked for. They do try to work with y'all. Just keep in mind, somebody has to foot the bill because they are having to pay for it. So try to use that judiciously. Like if you lost out on a few thousand credits, you really need those credits back and it didn't listen at all, you can reach out to them. So give us our character sheet here. I do have to say I loved first draft character sheet before because it gave us so much more. Feeds on souls, because what kind of entity doesn't? Oh, I love that. Takes great pleasure in tormenting its victims, driving them to the brink of insanity first. Sounds like my kind of guy. And so this one, I would actually say, let's change up Willow Creek. Want to be a charming and innocent small town. Give me more key locations and notable residents. And you can see since I did not copy that out, what it gave me first, I've lost that character sheet and backstory. Hence why we're asking for history. And why it's also a good idea to have something pulled up and be copying and pasting as you go. So picturesque rural town. I like this better. So to me, this would provide a better contrast to the evil in the story, having this small town that's very idyllic and then have the evil. What y'all think? Are y'all starting to see how y'all can play around with things in different ways? And again, you can do this in ChatGPT, same thing if you want it there. I know a lot of people want to be right here in one place. I actually like this. I'm going to copy it. Any of our experienced users have other ways they like to utilize quick chat or do some brainstorming in Sudowrite?
I like to use it to flesh out my characters better. So, it'll kind of generate a bunch of characters for you randomly, and they're all sort of very generic. As I fill in more information about my story, I'll talk to Quick Chat and say, hey, can you give me some better suggestions for this character based on what I've written? Because Quick Chat has access to my story Bible.
I use Quick Chat for everything. It will, I know JSON is the new,
Bell
or
bottoms. It's the new
I'm sure
bell
it's
bottoms.
not new, but it's new to me. I use it to export a particular character or world building card into JSON format. I ask it to generate or regenerate an individual trait field in a character or world building card, since we don't yet have that feature, but it is coming. And it does well with that. How can we make the character's arc more impactful? Rewrite this outline to include 3 intense sexual encounters. Rewrite this chapter summary to be more descriptive. I mean, I use it all the time.
Thank you, ma'am. And if y'all look in the tips and tricks in Discord, I know Jade, myself, and Stacy all have quick edit and quick chat tips, like prompts you can actually use. So feel free to check those out. Something I want to bring up, since we were playing around with Brainstorm First Draft, I know a lot of people hate having a bunch of cards. As you play around with things, this can fill up. Something I want you to keep in mind, if you don't star any of these, so right here, I can star this, right, and favorite it. So now when I click that, it's favorited. I'll unstar it. So let's say I hate having all these cards filled up. I want that blank screen for whatever reason. As long as I've not favorited anything, when I click over here, it's going to be a clean screen. So just a little workaround while we can't delete these cards yet. And I like that idea in the chat. Yep, using rewrite. That's a really good idea. You could rewrite or expand even. I think expand would be a good one to use on those. That's a good, I like that. All right, changing it up because we're almost at the top of the hour and I still have to decide which story I will continue with. So final one, let's go through. We're going to do an MC Gang Stalker Dark Romance. And I'm going to tell it small town. And because I don't want it to decide some goody two shoes is going to come in and swipe the heroine, I want to make sure it knows it's between the stalker. Yeah, I can't tell you enough how often I use this, pretty much in all of my stories now. I was doing a stalker brainstorming and series of brainstorming and the other day. It gave me an outline and that told it like somewhere around chapter 8 or whatever, the stalker decided to seek out a support group and learn from his ways. It was awful. Let's see, avoid moralizing characters. And let's try something here.
To cut in real quick, adding in avoid forcing redemption arcs. I've also seen some good results from that.
I like that wording. Just going to tell it to do that just to see. It's not really prompted to do much with this. Synopsis is meant to give you that summary of the story. I just want to see what this will do, putting that in there. I think it was called Stalkers Anonymous in the outline. Oh, why did we get Willow Creek again? My bad. The
It's
Ravager.
always Willow Creek.
And we got a good old Blackwood. I actually like this name. I don't think I've seen it much. All right, so in this instance, I would start asking, okay, what are these gifts? This one needs some work. I'm not as happy with this one. Well, I am going to, actually, I'm going to take that rewrite suggestion. I'm going to rewrite and have it be so I want to have her be less cliche with a more troubling persona. Let's see if rewrite will work. I like the wording better. Can't say it really accomplished the task, but a quick check. Oh, I said I would look at the cost here for first draft. So the first draft cost $8.38, and I'm only seeing us get charged once for it. And I ran it twice, so we didn't actually get charged the second time. Interesting. I'm going to tell it rewrite this synopsis to be more specific. And if I have ideas, you know what? I'm going to tell it, I don't like Zane's name, so we're going to go ahead. Rename him to something more unique. I want the town to be called Willow Creek. Let's just load it up with our little thoughts at once, because this is similar to what I would do inside ChatGPT. And go ahead and give me 3 reasons Jade has moved to the town. There we go. Louis, so these are just things, I had started a new document, like if you use First Draft, you have to start in a new blank document. So a couple of these are from playing with First Draft. And just as I copy the synopsis, I put it into a different document. Since we've been playing with a few different story ideas. We got Whispering Pines now. When it renamed the gang too. Like escaping a toxic relationship, inheriting the family estate. Desperate need for anonymity to evade a relentless stalker. So this makes my brain go in two ways. I'm curious what you romance authors would think. First of all, my first thought would be he followed her. And so she never knew who he was and ends up being with the stalker she was trying to escape from. Or we can separate the stalker MC aspect, where my original thought was having them together, be the same person. The MC guy saves her from the stalker, which to me would be a typical one.
I'd say the stalker is the hero.
This one.
My girl. You too, Gianna?
Yeah.
Okay. So we are at the top of the hour. Was this helpful? Is there something y'all would like to see? Are y'all still struggling with something when it comes to your brainstorming and you haven't figured out how to get past that little roadblock? How do we save our work? So it's automatically saved. You see up here, it's words 474, and you see a saved and a check mark. Every so often it saves. Now again, quick chat, quick edit. Well, quick edit will show up in your screen. Quick chat does not save, so I would need to copy all of this and save it somewhere. That has been a feature request. Can you change the name of the town to what you want and it will stay in the synopsis? So if I knew I wanted it to be a certain name, I would just go into the synopsis and manually change it there. Remember, you got the find and replace right here, so I could also search for it in any documents, change it, but I would just go into the synopsis and change it. How do you keep track of the versions, or is that necessary? In this instance, it isn't necessary because I was working with 3-4 different story ideas. Obviously, I'm not going to be combining those, but Miss Lynn is actually a good one to talk to about this. I know she does different versions of chapters. I believe she just names them. Mine is confusing because I will name them all chapter 1 if they're all chapter 1. And then I will just sort through it in my editing. But you can change the names. You can rename it right here. Or right here, rename it, and it'll name it something different. So you could say version 1, version 2, old version, new version, final version, hate this version, like whatever you want. So anything y'all could see with doing this? This one isn't quite right. There's something troubling me about it, and I'm not sure what. Maybe it's because I don't know if I want the MC and stalker to be the same person. So I am actually, you know what? I'm going to copy this. I don't know why I'm copying the sure thing, but haunted by a past shrouded in pain and loss. You know what? Let's see what it does there. Oh, now we got our father in a crime syndicate. Ooh, I actually like this. Okay, so I like this one. Really wish I could save 2 of them. But all right, so that is my process for brainstorming. So I will work on deciding which story I want to work on for day 2. If y'all aren't registered, same time tomorrow. So tomorrow I plan on us filling out the characters and world building for whichever story I decide to go with. And then on day 3, we'll work on some style, play around with style wording and generate some prose. Days 4 and 5 are still kind of up in the air. Not sure exactly what we'll focus on in day 4, but we'll do editing on 5. All right, so I am going to hang around for a few minutes, but I am going to close down the recording. So thank you all for hanging out with me, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Bye, everyone.